Hey everybody, it's social media producer Tom Barnes from the WGN Morning News. This is the Chicago scene, and today I am in Beverly, right off the old metro stop right here in Beverly, close to 95th, right in the middle of, right by the Dan Ryan Woods. And I've asked my friend Jessica to stop by and help out with this one. Hey Jessica.
Hey Tom.
How's it going?
Doing great.
Remind people again of the fantastic book that you wrote, and which is also actually why I even know about this place.
Thank you. It's called Secret Chicago, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure, and it features hidden gems all over Chicagoland. The website is secretchicagobook.com.
And one of the secret hidden gems, I think, of the city is a meadery? What is that? Why don't you explain what that is?
Yes, so we're at Wild Blossom Meadery in Beverly, and this is a Chicago secret because it was the first meadery in the state of Illinois, and they source all of their honey locally from some pretty interesting places around the city.
And basically a meadery is honey bee wine, right?
Mead is honey wine. It's a mystery to a lot of people, so that's why I love to feature it and shout it out here in my book.
And so random, it's on the south side of Chicago, right by the Dan Ryan Woods, and we're going to take a peek in their back area where it literally butts up against the woods where people ride their bikes. But first, why don't we get a little peek inside the meadery? We're going to meet Greg, right?
Absolutely. Greg Fisher is the founder. He founded Wild Blossom in 2001. It was the first meadery in the state, the first winery in the city of Chicago. And mead is actually an ancient drink. It's older than beer and wine, and it's buzzing again, pun intended.
All right, well, let's check out the inside. Why don't you lead the way, and I'll follow. Put your mask on. I'll get mine on.
As I mentioned, they source all of their honey locally from some really interesting locations. They've got bee colonies at the Morton Arboretum, the old U.S. Steel site, and even some rooftops downtown. So some of the bees have better views than you and I. And all the water comes from Lake Michigan, too.
Lake Michigan water, and which is I've heard good things about our lake water in terms of why our food's so good and why the mead is so good, which brings us to Greg, right? Greg, how's it going?
Oh, very good.
So you're the guy in charge. You're the head. You're the meteorologist, as you said.
I'm the meteorologist of the meadery, so I oversee everything going. We have a good group of our production team, and we put down some wonderful meads.
And so for people who want to come out here, this is like a winery that they would expect in California or anywhere there's wineries, really, right?
It's very much like a winery, but we specialize in mead. So instead of raising grapes, we raise honeybees. Instead of vineyards, we have wildflower fields.
And that's what kind of I'm looking at right now out there. That's one of the wildflower fields, but you have them all over the state.
All over the state. Well, the city does have a lot of wild areas, a lot of areas that have a lot of flowers, and there's flowers throughout the whole city and along the lakefront. So our bees are quite happy here.
And you like you were saying, they're on the lakefront, they're at Morton Arboretum, on rooftops, correct?
Yep, throughout the city, and bees are mobile. We sometimes even take them out to Michigan to pollinate blueberries.
And when you're done pollinating, when you get everything ready, it's time to make meadery, right?
So we make mead. Yeah, so we make mead from the honey. So mead is wine fermented from honey, and basically every flower makes different honey. So you have a different flavor of wine. And wine, mead can be sweet, it can be dry, whatever.
That's mead right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Which looks just like what people.
Red Snappa. It's a hibiscus mead.
Hibiscus mead. Why don't we take a look?
Yeah, let me show you guys how we make our mead.
Yeah, we'll go for a little walk, and then we're going to try some of this mead later.
Yeah, so a meadery is much like a winery. Mead is produced much like wine, but almost produced like beer. So it's halfway between the production of wine and beer. It's formulated like beer, but made with a natural product like wine. So these are our primary fermenters, where we use about 1,800 pounds of honey on each batch of mead we make. And we basically mix Lake Michigan water with honey, add yeast. Very simple product. It was basically the oldest fermented beverage on earth. And it ferments, the yeast eat the honey, convert it to alcohol, and make a flavorful drink. And then we have our secondary fermenters, where we may ferment it with boysenberries or cherries or apples or even hot chili peppers, or
hot chili peppers? Really?
Yeah, we made a bacon mead,
Really?
Yeah, so whatever your mind can conceive, we can achieve, in drink. So mead is like the ultimate craft. You can really make whatever you want with it.
And Jessica, you were talking earlier about, and you just touched on a little bit, Greg, about where mead started. It was in folklore and some book. What is the excerpt in your book? That's my question.
In the book that I mentioned that, as Greg said, it's an ancient drink and it's the oldest alcoholic beverage. And you might read, the old myths about Beowulf and Thor. They were drinking mead back in the day, and now we can toast like those epic heroes did.
Yeah, that's a lot to live up to, Greg.
Sounds good.
And you also offer things in barrel age, right?
So our barrel age program is we get bourbon barrels, and we ferment in bourbon barrels. But what we do, we make a wine called Sweet Desire in our bourbon barrels, and we only use the barrel once for Sweet Desire. We don't reuse it. And then we also use wine barrels. So we'll use Cabernet barrels or Merlot barrels, and we get a really nice flavor of the oak and wood for some of our nice dry meads.
And part of the experience, I gather, is people can get tours of the entire meadery, correct?
Yeah, we have tours. We also teach classes here. You can come in and learn to make your own mead or wine or beer in one of our classes.
And for people who want information on where to find the classes and all that stuff, where do they need to go?
Our website's best, the wildblossommeadery.com, and then they can even order meads online or go to the local binnies and pick it up.
So you guys sell them at binnies, and people can pick it up. And Jessica, where'd you say you found your first meadery or your first mead wine?
The first taste of mead that I had was actually at Beer Under Glass, which is a program usually at Garfield Park Conservatory once a year. And there's tons of beer everywhere in Chicago, and I was really drawn to the uniqueness of tasting mead because I'd never had it before.
Speaking of tasting mead, why don't we see what you have to offer there, Greg? And we'll maybe head outside of the back area. All right, sounds good. We'll go for a little walk here. All right, so we're made it outside to the wildflower areas, or where do you?
So we're at the foot of the Dan Ryan Woods, which actually has over 200 acres in the park. So we have a dense forest behind us. So what I love about it is we're in the middle of the city, but we feel like we're in the middle of nature. And nature is the best therapy for anybody. It just makes you happy.
Yeah, I imagine coming back here after a hard day's work is it feels like you're escaping to the country because it's quiet. And you said earlier those woods aren't city typical woods. Those are 200-acre woods that
Ryan Forest Preserve. So it's been forest forever, and so the forest makes you feel happy, and mead definitely makes you feel happy. So.
All right, so why don't you run through what we have here? Here's our flight of wine. I'm gonna go ahead, Jessica.
Since people don't know what mead is, the best way to learn is through a flight, and a flight will give you usually 6 different types of wines or meads, and you'll be able to taste the different variations. And then if there's one that you really like, you can try. So the first mead we have here we call Zestfest. And Zestfest is no, actually Zestfest is right here on this side.
Zestfest?
Zestfest, and it's actually a lemon lime mead, very good and very tangy. And then we also have we call Red Snappa, and that's a hibiscus mead fermented with a little cardamom. And then we have our blackberry mead, and it's a nice flavorful blackberries are great for making mead. Blackberries and honey are just a perfect pair. And then we go back to our raspberry peach, which is actually like a dry rosé. It's a very dry mead, but it's very fruity. And then our blueberry mead is famous because we pollinate actually those blueberries in Michigan for the grower, and he pays us back in blueberries for our pollination service.
Oh, it's kind of the Chicago way.
Yeah, and then the last one is our traditional mead. So a traditional mead is the mead like they used to serve in the castles.
Really? So this is like back to like medieval times?
Yeah, definitely. In the old days, they used to serve mead during wedding ceremonies because it was a special drink. And then after the wedding, the bride and groom would get an allotment of mead to drink every night for 1 month or 1 moon, and that's where the honeymoon ritual came from.
No kidding. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, so
look at Greg dropping knowledge on us everywhere.
Yeah. I say it was arranged marriages in those days, so they need a little mead to keep things going.
So, Greg, if we're going to try one to begin with first, which one would that be?
Try the Zestfest. So it's a nice,
all right,
nice crisp.
Go ahead, Jesse. You're our guinea pig.
Okay. And how many types of mead do you make, Greg?
So we make about 23 right now, and you know, so
It's so refreshing.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
nice, refreshing.
It's
easy
got that
to-
bit of citrus and like minerality to it.
Yeah, it's a nice mead, and actually you can make mead cocktails too. You can mix that with one of my favorite drinks is you mix that with a little light beer, a Bud Light or a Corona, and it's a wonderful summer drink.
It's almost like a summer ale,
Yeah,
kind of, right?
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So meads are at about these sparkling meads are about 8% alcohol, so they're a little stronger than beer, but not as strong as wine. But then we have our stronger meads at the end, the still meads, which are about 12%, which is about.
And again, real quick, Greg, where can people find information about your hours and everything else?
Just go to our website or Facebook page, wildblossommeadery.com, and they'll see all our hours. We have events here, weekends. Come out. You can go bike riding on the. This is the Major Taylor Bike Trail. You can take a bike out. Wonderful bike ride. It's actually about an 8-mile trail, and then you can stop off and have some mead.
Yeah, cool.
And,
Some zest this year.
You can even take the train because there's what's the train stop right there? That metro stop.
This is the 91st Beverly Hills train stop. So we're actually in Beverly Hills right now. So if you want to take a ride out to Beverly Hills, you can just jump on the Rock Island train and get off at our front door at the 91st Street stop.
I think we just blew everybody's mind when people have never heard that there is a Beverly Hills in the city of Chicago,
Yeah, it's
right?
been around for years.
Predates one in California.
Absolutely. Per usual. Jessica, again with the book information.
It's Secret Chicago, a guide to the weird, wonderful, and obscure, and you can find it at secretchicagobook.com.
All right, I'm going to put this thing down because I want to try some of the wine. So what's the one I should try?
Try the Red Snapper.
That's the second one there?
Yeah,
All right, I'm going to put this down and we're just going to sample the rest of the flight here. So thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. Let me put that down. Let's see. There we are. Oh, I got to move it over there. There we are. And this is the Red Snapper?
Yeah.
All right, so cheers, everybody. Thanks for watching. T. Barnes at WGNTV.com. If you have a suggestion, this is the meadery in Beverly Hills, Chicago, right off the metro stop or a bike path, right?
Yep.
All right, well, cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.